I believe addition of Flexbox and CSS Grid were two most impactful factors for the front-end development in the last decade. Let's find out why. It is year 2013. Words, twerk and selfie will be added to our dictionary. Baby pandas Mei Lun and Mei Huan will be born at the Zoo Atlanta. Justin Bieber will be caught urinating in the bucket at a nightclub. Internet Explorer dominates world of internet browsers with a whopping 55%. It will be the year when prefix WebKit will be removed from Flexbox for those lucky 60% of the Chrome users. Meanwhile, developers continue to build fluid websites using floats. Let's try to build a 2-column and 3-column layout website to reenact
that horrific experience.
So here we have a very simple page with a header, content, our future sidebar and footer. Let's give them separate colors so that we can tell them apart more easily. And now our goal is to put this sidebar to the right hand side of this content area. Let's give our sidebar a fixed width of 200 pixels. Then, since we are in 2013, we will use float since it's the only thing we have. So we will float right. After floating right, sidebar now intersects with the footer. So what we need to do for the footer is to say clear both, which will basically put our footer below all the floating element, both to the right and to the left. But still our sidebar is not next to the content. So for that, we would need to give our content a fixed width of 100%, and we will also float it to the left. Finally, we will use the trick of setting margin right minus width of our sidebar. This is what happened. So this way we basically tell with this negative margin, hey, I don't really care about those 200 pixels to the right hand side of me. Some other floating element can use them. But this way our text now is behind the sidebar. So in order to fix that, we will put all our content inside another div with a class main, and then we're gonna style it. We will give that main a background color of our content, and then we can also set margin right, again 200 pixels, since this is how much space we have given to the sidebar, which leaves this empty white gap under the sidebar. So in order to fix that, we now will give the content the same background color as the sidebar, since we said that our content consumes all the width of the page. And here we have it. We now achieved a 2-column layout with a float. I can assure you that back in the days in 2013, you would need to do even more extra tricks to achieve that in order for it to work in Internet Explorer 6. But now let's turn it into a 3-column layout. First of all, we will introduce this 3rd column, which will have our navigation information, for example. We will give it a class nav, and we will call it a nav bar. We will style it. It will also have a width of 200 pixels. It will have the same background color as our sidebar. And now it also needs to float to the left. Float left. The only thing left for us is to give our main area a margin left 200 pixels. And here we have it. Now we have a 3-column layout. And just to be sure, our content or main area is very much fluid. But still, I believe it's overly complex, because let's say I don't really like the fact that our text is sticking right to the borders of different areas, and we want to add a padding. How that would? So we will add to our navbar padding of 10 pixels, which now completely ruins our layout. So we will give also a sidebar, also padding of 10 pixels, which ruins it even further. So how can we fix it? First of all, we would need to give more space for our sidebar, since we added 10 pixels to the left of it and 10 pixels to the right of it. We basically increased the content of the sidebar by 20 pixels. So we would say that, okay, we will give you 20 pixels more of space. And now we would need to push our main content by 20 pixels more from one side and 20 pixels more from another side. And we also can do padding here so that it looks even nicer. Here we have it. But let's check how adding Flexbox will affect our front-end developer's life. So we will move our nav, our main, and our sidebar inside our content, and we will give our content style of display flex, and it's almost there. We will add flex basis 200 pixels and flex shrink 0. Also add this nice looking padding of 10 pixels, and then we will basically do the same for our nav, and they actually the same, so we will just do sidebar and remove all of that. Perfect. And then we will add padding 10 pixels to main. Here we have it. And now let's see if we can simplify it even further by using CSS Grid. So now we have header, navbar, content, sidebar and footer. So we will say to our body, since the body is our top container in this case, we will say body display grid. We will create grid template rows. We will create 3 rows where first row will have height auto. The second row, where all our main content is happening, will take 1 frame. The row which will contain footer will also have height auto. Then we will also define 3 columns, where first column will be 200 pixels, second column will take 1 frame, and third column will be our 200 pixels. It doesn't look so nice right now, but what we're gonna do is that we will tell our header and footer to grid column span 3. Boom. And there we have it. I think it's even easier this time. Remember how much math, or like extra math, we did it with the flawed approach in 2013? So now, if we imagine if we wanted to add a little bit of the gap in between the header and the content and the navbar and sidebar and all of those parts. So that sounds really, really nasty in 2013, but here I think we can just add gap 5 pixels. That's how big of an impact addition of Flexbox and CSS Grid does make on the front-end development, especially if you are a beginner or a back-end developer.